Welcome to the Influential Christian Entrepreneur Podcast, where we uncover the inspiring stories and strategies of successful Christian entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of interviewing Nancy White, who is passionate about empowering people to thrive physically and financially. Drawing from the 30 plus years of experience, she guides health conscious adults in tailoring sustainable wellness habits and supports entrepreneurs in diversifying their income. Author of the Amazon bestseller, The GRT Journal, she's also contributed to 3 collaborative books. And as the founder of Healthy Cells Chick since 2007, Nancy co-hosts Carolina's Happy Neighborhood Networking and leads her TV show, The Healthy Cells Chick. Cells as in CELL. So Healthy Cells. On Win-Win, she hosts this on Win-Win Woman TV, and she's also an avid networker for the past 20 years. She generously connects and shares resources with many. And for sure, that has been my experience. Nancy, thank you so much. You have so generously come on here, giving up your time. I know you probably rather be doing something else, chit-chatting with 1,000 other people, but you took the time to be here with us, and I can't wait to learn more about you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Francine. And there's no other place I'd rather be than right here with you because anytime we can get together and talk, and especially about the Lord and His goodness and His faithfulness, it's just a delight. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your show.
Thank you so much, Nancy. You know, I told you when we spoke the other day that you just have this calm Southern thing about you. You remind me of, I don't know, Mr. Rogers, but a feminine version of Mr. Rogers. Anybody ever told you that? You just speak in such a calming way.
I've never been compared to Mr. Rogers, but I have been told that I do have a very calming kind of demeanor in talking with people. And so, and that's, I think it's fantastic because there's so much loudness and shouting and, finger pointing and accusing in this world. And I'm sitting there going, if we can be part of that peaceful flow, that's what
Yeah,
we need to do.
for sure. And so, Nancy, so the Healthy Cells Chick. I'm assuming that you help people with their cells somehow.
Well, we got trillions of them, Francine, but I really believe in being as preventative and proactive in our health. Um, and that really came about because of the premature deaths of my father and my brother. My father died when I was 9 of Hodgkin's, and my oldest brother, John, was studying to be a doctor in the Navy and discovered his own leukemia and lived 2 years longer. So in my mind, I really thought, I want to find ways to be as preventative as possible. And it was really great, I have to say, when I got past their ages, Francine. And so, but my mom was the health nut. She was juicing before Jack LaLanne had a juicer, and we were using things like colloidal silver and some different alternative things growing up. And I just thought that was natural. But I have been a researcher, and I should say it's 30 plus years, because when I really look at how much time I'm sitting there going, I don't want to tell people that even though I'm 71, I'm sitting there going, when people have been around for a long time, we've got lots of knowledge and understanding and wisdom. So, but the healthy cells, I mean, our body completely regenerates every 7 to 8 years. And I love giving people hope, especially if they've had some challenges with cancer or whatever, because again, it's not any one thing, but it is that healthy mind, that body, and that spirit that we have to nurture every day, or one of those areas are going to start going, excuse me, you left me out today. So,
Yeah, eventually, right? For sure. I love that you said colloidal silver because I've used it. I'm also, I guess, kind of like when I discovered that my son had life-threatening food allergies,
mhm,
I went down a research path like no other, when that mama bear instinct comes out because I was
mhm,
determined to find, a cure, like something. So, I mean, I've used colloidal silver, not specifically for that, for food allergies, but for other things. Wild oregano oil, manuka honey. I'm all into now. I just ordered some frankincense.
mhm.
tea. I'll use frankincense oil and put it in my lotion to so that it'll penetrate my skin. So I can talk to you about that stuff all day, every day, because it simply works. And if you are preventative and you're proactive about taking these measures instead of reactive, because we usually wait until there's something wrong, then we have to run to the allopathic doctor to get the hard and fast remedy, which is usually not so much a remedy because it has so many side effects. But if you have an option of trying other things first, right? That's the best way to
Absolutely.
go.
And it is. And sometimes the natural way takes a little bit longer, but you don't have the long-term side effects. And I'm telling you, I've seen so many people over the years that, they've been on medications and things for 30 years and different things. And when they get prescribed those medications, the doctor does not tell you what could result in 20 to 30 years, how you could be set up for dementia, how you could be set up for some other challenges in your health. But prevention is always, just like you said, better than reactive. But then when life happens, I mean, I've reversed osteoporosis naturally over the last 30 something years. And so we all go through our own challenges. But I think it's pretty amazing to think about, we are living, especially in this country, in a combative zone. Every single day, things are coming against our minds, our bodies, and our spirits every day. And so we have to learn again to be combative and proactive, but in a good, healthy way that's going to build us up and not have those long-term potential side effects.
Right. And so people, so then how, so you've written a journal and you've written some collaborative books, and the Healthy Cells Chick is your TV show, correct?
It is.
It is. Okay. And in there you discuss natural remedies.
We do. But I have beautiful guests. It's for ladies. It's Win Women TV. It's for women. But I've had amazing guests, Francine, and I'm always learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm never going to stop. And so I've had incredible guests on. For example, one woman was raised in a cult and she got out of a cult, when she was 17, and then she became a believer, and then her family became a believer and now she has just grown and she's leading women's retreats around the world. I've had a lot of women that talk about finances because money is a tool, and I really believe in physical and financial health. They go hand in hand. You have to nurture both of them. And so I think my TV show is pretty much anything really does affect our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. So we talk about a variety of things. It's not any one thing.
And so they would find, how would they find, you have a link. I'll put that in the description.
Hmm.
There's a link to get to the TV show.
It is.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So I'll put it in the description so that people can go directly there to find your TV show. So, Nancy, you and I connected because a friend of ours that we have in common, which I'm trying to figure out who that was right now.
It might have been Allie.
Might have been Allie, yes,
Hmm.
connected us because you are also a Christian entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And I would like to know, how did you come to walk with the Lord? Were you always a Christian or did you become a Christian later? How was that for you?
Well, Francine, unfortunately, pretty much the first time I ever went to church was at my father's funeral, and when I was 9. And so my mother had 4 children to raise by herself, 3 boys and a girl. And so she was a widow for about 11 years. And then when I was a senior in high school, she met this gentleman, and he was a retired spirit-filled Episcopal priest. And they got married. And Francine, he was 80 and she was 50. We thought she was crazy. And so, anyways, they had to get married 3 times before it was legal. I think finally in Mexico it was the legal one. And they wrote a book called Let's Begin Again. So, anyways, he spoke at a lot of things. In fact, he'd been a missionary in Mexico, and he and my mom went to Israel at least 5 or 6 times. And then when they were here, he was going up and down like the East Coast, well, really all over the country, and was speaking. And I remember I got to be the chauffeur one summer driving up and down. So we were in Arlington, Virginia, and he and my mom, and we were at a dentist home, and they were having a prayer gathering. it was a full gospel prayer meeting. I was happy staying in my room, Francine.
Uh-huh. So you
And
weren't, at this point, you weren't really participating in what they were doing.
no. And so then I was called out to join, and being the obedient Southern girl, I I joined their meeting and I was just sort of just sitting there minding my own business. And then they said, Nancy, would you like for us to pray for you? And I'm sitting there going, what do you tell them? No. And so and so I said, sure. And so, anyways, so they laid hands and prayed for me. And Francine, it was like I had warm oil going from the top of my head all the way down to my feet. And I thought, whoa. So, anyways, I accepted the Lord when I was about 18. And then, for those first several years, I sat on the fence, got off the fence, how we do.
Huh.
But when I really fell in love with Jesus, it has been nonstop. And I've gone through life. I've made my mistakes. I've made things like everybody else, bad choices and whatever. But God's always been there to redeem and restore. And now I just say, your way or no way. Because
It's
I've
your
done
way.
it enough
Not
my
my way
way.
or the highway. It's your way or no way.
I know. But that's when I came to know the Lord, and it's been a growing love relationship ever since. You know, and there's days when, I just feel like, Lord, this is going to be a day you're going to have to carry me in your arms because I just, it's not going well. But then there's days that I never ask for anything. It's just a thank you and a praise day. And because you and I both know the enemy cannot inhabit the worship and praise, he has to flee.
Hmm, correct. And we can control the amount of worship and praise that
Hmm.
we do, right?
Hmm.
So the more of that we do, the less time the enemy has to come and attack us, even though, you know, doesn't mean that your life is going to be just smooth all the way.
He
Not
never
at
said it'd
all.
be easy. He just said he'd never leave us.
Correct. And that makes it easier
Yeah.
because you knowing that I guess it's a spiritual thing, right?
Hmm.
You can't understand it until you're actually there because I would have, if you would have told me this 2 years ago, I'd be like, you're just crazy.
You've been drinking or smoking. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever. But now I can understand it. It's beyond something that you can just wrap your head around, right? It's another level of it. And so the premise of the podcast and the reason why I started this entire podcast was because when I became a Christian first in 2020, I was very afraid of letting people know publicly that I was, in the business space, um, of letting people know that I was a Christian. It was something that I felt kind of like an impulse to do, but then I would retreat because we've always been told to never mix business and faith, what they call religion. People don't really understand that there's a difference between religion and faith. So they say religion needs to stay at the door. It's a personal matter, not a business thing. And I feel like there are a lot of Christians that are in the same situation where they feel like if that there is no place to talk about faith in the business environment because their clients don't share their beliefs,
Hmm.
because they don't want to look like Jesus freaks or whatever. They're just negative. In the secular world, I think most people have a negative idea of what it is to be a Christian. And which has led us to the point where we just kind of sit back and even hide that we are Christians. So, what do you think about mixing work and faith, or business and faith in this case, because you're also an entrepreneur?
Well, I can't separate it. And it depends on, I think, a lot of times what is being spoken. Our actions always speak louder than words. And when you treat people with respect, without ulterior motives, without false intentions, and your business practices are on a level of excellence, then you're going to attract people. And you'd be surprised. There'll be, some other believers, whatever, coming out of the woodwork because, like attracts like. But we do come across those people too that, you can just hear. That's why we got two ears. We listen and we can hear some things that are going on. But, and you can ask sometimes too during conversations, what is it that you need? Do you have a challenge right now? Is there any resources I have that I can share with you? And so when you can hear the comeback, those answers, that can give you some indications. But there are times when I'm having one-on-ones with people or I'm in, different meetings and groups and things. And, I can slip some things in every once in a while, but it's not just like preaching and just saying, are you going to heaven or hell? It's like,
Right.
you
Try
know,
that and
yeah. And so, I
well,
mean, I can even tell you one time we were taking my husband to an eye appointment, and there was a technician that was, working with him, and he was saying, he said, um, are you a praying woman? And she said, no. And so all of a sudden you're sitting there going, okay, so then in my brain, I'm sitting there going, well, I'm going to pray that you will become one. And so I didn't have to say it. But I think, we don't want we don't want to drive people away. We want to attract people. Christians aren't perfect by any means, but our actions and our reactions can really tell a big difference in your picture of things. And so, and I'll tell people just for fun, I'll say, you know what? I'm just helping you take care of your temporary temple until you get your permanent maintenance free one. But it's more important that it's fireproof. And people just go, what? And
yeah.
but anyways, but I think it's really, I can't separate. I mean, you and I, we're still human. We still go through those ups and downs and mistakes and everything. And when life happens and it ruffles our spirit and just put up your dukes or whatever, we get to decide, how long we want to stay bent out of shape or how fast we want to get over it. And it's just like acid, just like forgiveness. It's like a vessel. When we won't forgive somebody, it's just like we got acid in us because it's eating us and gnawing at us. It's not doing a thing to them. they
Right.
they could care less. So I think, just making it so it's just normal and natural of being who you are, being authentic at who you are. And we don't have to preach to anybody, but if somebody comes along our path and other people have sowed seeds or whatever, and they're ready to just say, you know what, I'm at my last limb, my last step, my last whatever. I am just, over it.
Yeah.
And then, everybody has a choice. Which direction are you going to go? Are you going to go the world's way? Are you going to try to self-medicate? Are you going to try to do this or whatever it is? Because just like I said earlier, I don't want to do it my way anyway more because I've seen where that leads.
We have seen where it leads. It is, life is so much harder
Mhm.
when you try to always do it from your own strength. All this talk about self-reliance, self-care, self this, self that, and self-help. And
Mhm.
I, you want to think that those are good things, right? But we also have to be careful because when we talk about all this we're a self-obsessed society. We are self-obsessed.
It
And
is.
when you do that, you take God out of the equation,
Mhm.
and then you're just relying on yourself.
Yeah, but when you said that too, it's like anything. It's what you're going to put into it, how much attention and emotion. I mean, the only way my self-care is going to work is if I do it. You can't do it for me, and I can't do
Right.
it for you. So that's where self-responsibility and accountability to myself is that am I being a good steward of, and you fill in the blank. And it's not being so self-absorbed, but there is that other side too when somebody can only be fixated on themselves and what's wrong with them, blah, 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 all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, it doesn't take you long at all again to just listen and hear whether somebody really has a grateful, thankful heart and a spirit. Sure, they may have gone through hell and it's lived to tell, but you still, when you talk about being self-absorbed, it's all about me. It's all about how I look. It's all about blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell women, I've been leading women's groups over 20 something years. I'll say, fastest way to disappointment is you start comparing yourself to somebody else. I
Yes.
said, instead of going and looking in the mirror and going, thank you for making me the way that I am. I like me. I love me. And I thank you for creating me just the way you did. You didn't make an accident. And guess what? God smiles when he looks at me. And he smiles when he looks at you, Francine, because we are his creation and it's nothing we did.
Yeah, because there is that thing where we're self-obsessed, but then on the other hand, there are also people, Christians in particular, who will say, God is in control of everything. Kind of like, I don't have to do anything. God, that's delusional. You got one side, which is too much self everything, excluding God, and then you have the other side that they want everything for God to do, God to do everything. I, I know someone like that. Like, I'm like, yes, but God is not going to do your work for you. You have to ask God to help you, and yes, to take control, but you are in this world because you have to do things, right? And it's hard for me to explain it.
Well, it's no, you're doing a fantastic job. It's just like God's not going to come down and make me exercise. I
Yeah.
mean, he gives us opportunities and opens up doors and opens up a way, but guess what? We're the one that has to follow through and do it and take the steps and the actions. And I think I've come across people like that too, Francine. They're just going to sit back and wait upon the Lord. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? It costs a lot of money to die in these days. So,
Yeah.
you know what? You want to go fund me for your funeral, or do you want to make plans, or do you want to do those things ahead of time for prevention? And just, and I've heard people just say, well, when I'm dead, it's dead. Doesn't matter. Somebody else can take care of it. And I'm sitting there going, really? You'd really like to leave a burden while somebody's trying to grieve the loss of you
Yeah.
and have to go through and clean up your mess that you did not take care of and weren't responsible for?
Absolutely. That is a selfish way of seeing things
Hmm.
because they're not thinking, oh, I'm gone. Let everybody. It's very hard.
Hmm.
And so, Nancy, because you are a wise woman, what would you advise entrepreneurs, particularly, you know, Christian entrepreneurs who are a bit hesitant? They're hesitant to really go out there because we Christians, I feel we've been under a lot, we've been attacked a lot lately, especially, after like when I really noticed it and I was like, whoa, I was already a Christian, but I wasn't being vocal about it, was when the Roe versus Wade situation happened a couple years ago. Like, I was seeing social media posts of people dragging us through the dirt, and I was like, well, I can understand why so many people are hesitant because they don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be um so if you have a Christian who's an entrepreneur and they really depend on clients to get business and they don't want to offend people and they don't, how would you how would you think that they can go about it without denying the Lord, but in a way that feels natural, maybe authentic, etc.?
Absolutely. Francine, I really believe it all starts with ourself too. First, and it is that self-care. It's making sure that we are grounded every single day, whatever it is for you, that is for your own healthy self, staying in the word, exercising, having your nutrition. I call it jet fuel nutrition, but getting your foundation set, making sure that you are right with the Lord first and foremost. And then I believe in abundance. I believe there's more than enough. There's billions and billions of people are around the world. And I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in a lot of different things that, supernatural things. And I believe people will weed themselves out of your life really fast if they're not getting what they think they deserve or whatever it is. That's really that self-centeredness. But I think it's just, being your authentic self and just, keeping your standard to where it's pleasing to the Lord first and foremost, not man. And so, and those people are going to come into your path. Surely Christians do have to use technology. We do have to leverage marketing. We do have to leverage, all the things in business to make sure our business is running smooth, that foundation for our business. But I think that you're going to get to pick and choose. You get to pick and choose where you network. You get to pick and choose who's podcasts that you're on. You get to pick and choose those places how you're going to market, because I believe that believers need to continually build each other up and strengthen each other. It's like the links.
Links.
You want to be linked.
Yeah.
And something, even when I started my business years ago, I would ask myself this question, because I've been part of network marketing too, and that's, building people and helping people. I would say, is this somebody that I would love to have eating at the table with my family? That's yes or no. We don't have to have every single client. We don't have to have every single person. Now we can, when the situations happen, and especially partnering and collaborating, oh my gosh, I really believe that you better be like-minded, like-hearted, and have great communication. I don't think you should be unequally yoked. And that's in
That includes with
marriage
clients.
and
Where
client.
did I learn that lesson the hard way? I had a client at the beginning of the year who was self-described. This is before I completely just surrendered.
Hmm.
That described himself as a heathen. And I don't think I really understood what a heathen was, to be honest with you. But boy, he gave me hell. Hell. Okay. And that's when I said, whoa, I think this is why we need to make it clear to people where we're coming from. Doesn't mean you have to write scripture on your social media posts or anything, but it means that you need to show up as your true self and not hide who you are. And that's going to change depending, like you said, be in the word, pray, because the Holy Spirit will inspire you as to how he wants you to express your faith. Because for everybody, it's different. For me, I'm very vocal, I'm very explicit.
And that's great, because you do fantastic marketing and doing polls, Francine. So on your social media post, having a poll say, what does it mean to you to work with a pure heart? And you could do A, B, and
And then
C.
I,
And then people are going to identify themselves, and you're sitting there going, those are the people I'd like to have a relationship with and reach out and get to know each other. But since you're very vocal, you can do it in a way that you are finding out, and people will weed themselves out
they
before they
will.
even. Hmm.
They will. So don't worry that you are a shy person and you feel really skittish about, oh my gosh, do I have to like every day put that? No, it depends on how you want to do it and rely on the Lord and the Holy Spirit and ask him what is the best way for you. And that will definitely come up. What you don't want to do is hide your light under a bushel, like they say,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to do that because I did that and I ended up with the heathen.
Well, see, it's a lesson learned. And so you have learned and you've
God
grown
taught me a
from it.
lesson. That relationship didn't last but a month, let me tell you. It
Good
was
for you.
horrible. It was horrible. But that I appreciate you saying that. It's about the Holy Spirit will guide you the best way that's for you.
And you have no clue, Francine, of the seeds that you sowed in that person's life, and other people are going to probably nurture it some. And who knows, down the road, he may just decide to say, I need you, Lord. I want you, Lord. Please come into my life.
Yeah.
And so you have no idea. All you can do, I call it BNR, you bless and release, and you just continue on.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very, very beautifully said. And so, Nancy, what is the best way? I'm going to put the link to your TV show on the description of the podcast. Do you have a website, or how would you prefer people communicate with you if they wanted to contact you right away?
Just go to the healthysaleschick.com. It's the healthy, CELLSCHICK.com. The healthysaleschick.com. I've got a fun couple of quizzes there. You can do some self quizzes, but there's links there to schedule a time. And I promise, if we talk, it's going to be all about you and not me. We're going to celebrate the good things that you're doing for your healthy lifestyle and your physical and your financial business. And if there's areas that just would love to have some suggestions or be tweaked, I would love just to offer any of that. Again, because in this day and time, it's people helping people. AI is awesome. I love it. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's people working with people.
It's people helping people. And
Mhm.
also, part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because we need to really build out the kingdom infrastructure. And
Hmm.
just knowing who each other doesn't mean we're only going to work with each other, but just being able to know who is out there that we could connect with and be part of this community. Because you alluded to that a little bit, like links in a chain. And so we need to link together. And of course, doesn't mean just working and talking to each other. We don't want to be in a silo, because that's not what God told us to do. What Jesus told us to do. We need to spread the good news to the world. But when we have a support system, which I feel like a lot of people are lacking a support system, it makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to have you on my show, Francine.
Oh, for sure. I would love to be on this show. And I was going to ask you something else. Oh, which social media platform are you most active on? Is it Facebook or LinkedIn?
Well, if I have to be honest, it's probably LinkedIn. I'm on both and on Alignable and Instagram, but I'm on LinkedIn a lot because it's just easy, but I'm doing more. We can only spend so much time in different places, but I'm there.
Mostly
And
LinkedIn.
if
Okay.
somebody connects with me, I'm gonna, respond back to
So
them.
you're like me. I have a foot in each place. I'm one in each place. All right. So this is wonderful. We want to thank Nancy. Nancy, we want to thank you for being here and sharing your insight and your ideas and the way that you mix faith in your business. Um, it's wonderful to have so many different perspectives. Now I remember what I was going to ask you. Goodness, do you work with men and women or only women?
No, men and women, because it's really important, especially for men, because I believe in this country too. Men have been just pushed down, pushed down, pushed down as far as not being the heads of their home. And
Yes.
men need to be built up and just, in a way that they can excel, that they can shine, that they can become their very best. Because unfortunately, they are not like women. We speak at least 2,500 more words a day than men do. And women may stuff their emotions, but men really keep it in a lot of times. And that's when they end up with heart disease. And that's when they end up with some real challenges. So men need to be highlighted also and focused on, Francine, because,
Yes.
God,
Yes.
God put those families together.
I'm so happy that you said that, because I feel like the men don't get nearly the amount of support that women do. I feel like for the past few years, at least on social media, any event, any group was women's group. I help women, women this, women. I'm like, well, hold on. I also like to work with men. I don't know if it was just my perception, but I've also felt like we've pushed them down, told them to sit aside, um, and be quiet, because there's no place for the patriarchy or something like that. I don't know. And they may not act like it bothers them, but typically men, like you said, it will bother them just as much as it'll bother us, but they won't express it that way, right? And so it's great that you're also supporting men. And that is the reason why I also decided to work primarily with men. And so if you're a Christian man who's a CEO or executive seeking to authentically integrate your faith and your professional brand on LinkedIn by using your personal stories to inspire others to further God's kingdom and leave a legacy of faith, you can connect with me at hello@francineSinclair.com, which is my email, or my website is francineSinclair.com. And I want to thank you again, Nancy, for being here. Thank you for letting us know that you also support men, because they are also important. And I know you have sons. I have a son as well.
I know, and I
So
was raised with three brothers.
yeah, exactly. And so I have a son and a daughter, but I want to make sure that men are always included. I have a husband too. Let's not leave him out. You have one too. So absolutely. For everyone listening to The Influential Christian Entrepreneur, I want to thank you for listening. We will be back on Tuesday with another amazing guest. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you,
Take
Francine.
care. Bye.